Welcome. It's so nice to see you all. Usually when I'm on the radio, I can't see you. I get to talk to you when I take requests and phone calls, but it's nice to see you. As Daria said, we're on TV. So if you're here with someone you shouldn't be with, try that.
25 seconds.
Yes.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5. Let's go!
Hello and welcome to another magnificent performance live in Zoomer Hall. It's brought to you by Natural Calm, the better magnesium. I'm Bill Anderson from the new Classical FM, and today we are offering you a preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend, a celebration of classical guitar. Our guests, Paraguayan superstar Berta Rojas, along with Korean virtuoso Bokyung Byun. And to begin, let's welcome Canada's Brent Crawford. Brent Crawford. We're live in Zoomer Hall with our preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend. It is a presentation, of course, of the Guitar Society of Toronto. And later in the program, we'll be able to tell you about all the things that are happening this weekend, besides the amazing performances by people like Brent. We just enjoyed some Spanish music by Francisco Tárrega. Brent is a very talented Canadian artist who's rapidly gaining fame internationally. Tell us about that Francisco Tárrega piece you just played.
Sure, Bill. So, I mean, one of the easiest things to recognize about it is it's the most recorded classical guitar piece of all time. It's been recorded over 250 times, I think. So, you guys are all classical guitar experts now.
Well, and we play it on the radio all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We do. We play it a lot. And it gets requested a lot. You like it for what reason?
I mean, it's just kind of a standard of the instrument. It highlights the kind of strengths of the guitar so well. I mean, we can kind of color change, and there's some beautiful melody, and yeah, it's just a lovely piece.
You're not only a performer, but a student of the craft. You have a doctorate of the arts, musical arts, from the University of Toronto, and I'm fascinated by the research you did. It involves applying methods and techniques from athletics to guitar performance. Explain it to me.
Sure. So, I mean, in a nutshell, the easiest thing to understand about the comparison between sports and music is they're both high performance fields. If you look at a doctor having to do a surgery on someone, there's a lot of stress that comes with that, so it's a high performance issue. And also with sports and music is that we're playing in front of people most of the time. And so, there's a lot of stress, and so there's a few different ways to deal with that. Sometimes it's practicing all day long, but some athletes don't get to do that, like a bobsledder can't, and so they have to use mental methods to prepare, and so there's a lot of overlap between these fields.
How much of what you do, this getting ready for a performance, how much is inspiration, how much is perspiration?
Well, there's definitely a lot of hard work that goes into this. I think you'd be naive to not think so, but I mean, there's a lot of great days about being a musician too. It's a nice field to be in.
You're very active in developing new talent. Tell us about that and your own private teaching.
Sure, yeah. So I grew up in Toronto. I'm born and raised here, and so I teach throughout the city. I do a lot of private teaching, but I'm also affiliated with a music school in the Yonge and Eglinton, North Toronto area. So I mean, it's the best thing about making music. It's sharing it. It's inspiring people, whether they're children or adults learning how to play. It's nice.
We want you to play some more. Next, I understand you've chosen a piece by a Russian composer.
Yes, so this is actually a piano piece. It's a transcription. The guitar, like the piano, has so many capabilities, and so I think it's nice sometimes to play some music that isn't for our instrument.
All right, it's music by Alexander Scriabin, and once again, Brent Crawford entertains us here live in Zoomer Hall, a preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend. Brent, it's all yours. That was wonderful. We're live in Zoomer Hall with Canada's Brent Crawford. It's a preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend, and we're going to meet a Korean guitarist right after this. And now to ask you questions. Here's Daria.
4 minutes and 55 seconds there. No, I don't know.
I thought you were going to answer
So,
some.
do you have a couple of questions? Oh, I do need this actually.
Changes your mind all the time.
I know.
Bill, you're looking mighty fine. No one know that you're 104 because on radio you sound 21. This is a question for the. This is a question for the guitarist. I know that the finger exercises you do are very similar to pitchers in baseball. Question I have: how do you prevent calluses from building up, splitting, and then not be able to play for 2 or 3 weeks?
Great question. Thank you. So on my right hand, I don't have to worry about that. My plucking hand, which is nice. No calluses there. But on my left hand, yeah, I think once the calluses build up, the nice thing about the classical guitar is that the strings aren't too hard on your fingers. I know there's a lot of people who play acoustic guitar or electric guitar, and they have a much tougher time with calluses, but mostly classical guitars don't have to worry about that because we have these nylon strings, and if you just kind of like scrubbing soap in the shower will get rid of anything that's kind of overly calloused. It's not much of an issue for us.
No, but I know other people, I guess electric cars with steel strings, they, like Vince Gill, they have a strong problem
3.5 minutes.
with their fingers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anybody else got a question?
Hold on, Bill. Hold on a second. We have a couple of presents, a couple of prizes. Oh, now you have a question, eh?
I want you to meet the president of the Guitar Society of Toronto, Heather Moran Clark.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
3 minutes to air.
So we have 4 pairs of tickets that we're going to give away to people who ask interesting questions. I have 2 pairs for tonight to see Brent and Bo Kyung, and I have 2 pairs for tomorrow night to Berta Rojas. So if you are chosen to win tickets, you'll have to let me know which night you can make it. And once 2 are given away, well, okay.
Yes.
2.5 minutes to air. Are you available tonight or tomorrow? Tonight or tomorrow? Yay!
That's kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs next year. Somebody will phone up and say, what time does the game start? And the guy will say, what time can you get here? Nobody wants to go.
One quick final question for this section, and then we do have another commercial break, so think of your interesting. Go. 2 minutes.
The Guitar Weekend has been running. This is our 6th, but the Guitar Society is actually the oldest guitar society in North America. We've been running since 1956.
Okay, we are 2 minutes to air. 2 minutes. Hold it for the next one. And this is, whose is this now? Longest 2 minutes ever, right? Expensive. It's like being on death row. Or being married, according to this guy.
Television is defined as hurry up, wait. Hurry up, wait. Well, no, that's just wait, wait, wait some more. That's right.
Roughly 30 seconds to the clock. still technically live on the web, so hi, Mom. My biggest fan. Well, YouTube. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Welcome to the Zoomer Hall Concert Series, presenting a preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend presented by the Guitar Society of Toronto. I'm Bill Anderson, and it's my great pleasure now to introduce you to a rising star from Korea. Her name, Bokyung Byun. Make her welcome. a rising star from Korea, Bokyung Byun. Welcome. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
I want you to tell me about that piece of music you just played. I know it's from an Italian composer, Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco. And what do you love about it?
I'm a huge fan of Tedesco's music in general, so I was digging through this huge volume of guitar works he has composed. And this was a little lesser known suite about this legendary dancer character from Cervantes literature. And I brought two of them, two movements of the suite today.
And we'll hear the other one in a little while. But first, we want to learn a little bit more about you. How popular is guitar in your homeland?
I would say there's a huge diehard fan group out there. Obviously, the market's a little small right now, but it's growing in Asia in general. So, yeah.
And why did you choose that instrument? Because there are many other
right.
purely Korean instruments.
Right. My parents are not musicians, and one day I was sitting in the living room with my mom, and there was a guitarist on the TV. So I said, "Can I play that?" And here I am now.
Well, and you're sounding wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Competitions, not just the competitions, but finishing first in many competitions has certainly enhanced your career. Tell us about how important that is.
Right. It's a nerve-wracking experience, I'm sure, for everyone involved. And but every time I do any type of competition, I've learned something about either myself or playing, how to interact with the judges and the audience. So it's always a very rewarding experience and somewhat educational.
One of the most famous international guitar compositions is the Johann Folletta Concerto Competition, and you became the first female winner of that just recently. I know it means a lot. Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
Again, it's obvious that is enhancing your career, but what does it mean to you personally?
Personally, well, it really started my concert career. Now I tour around the United States, and it's really interesting to see how when I was younger, I grew up watching Berta Rojas or Sharon has been the female guitarist, and now I go around and there are these little girls learning guitar. They come up to me and they say, "I saw you on Folletta." So it's I don't know. It's humbling and at the same time very exciting.
Yeah, and encouraging, I hope.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, you are also a student of music, and in fact, you're at the University of Southern California pursuing a doctorate. What do you have to do to get a doctorate?
Right. One of the exciting things about doing the doctorate at USC is that you get to choose what to do as part of your doctorate program. So I chose of course, music theory, but there's also flamenco guitar and conducting as part of my program. And that I think really broadens my musical horizon, not only on the academic side, but just as a performer and just appreciator of music.
We're going to ask you to play some more of that Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco music. Once again, here, live from Zoomer Hall. Thank you, Bo Kyung. We've got Bokyung Byun from Korea to play more for us here. Let's enjoy. What a wonderful performance of that Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco music by Bokyung Byun from Korea. My next guest is the president of the Guitar Society of Toronto, Heather Moran-Clark. Always nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Bill.
You brought some really good guitar players today.
I did, didn't I?
You certainly did, and there are lots of them who are going to be showcased this weekend. There's a concert tonight with Brent and Bo Kyung, then Berta Rojas tomorrow night, but there are many other things about this weekend that people can sign up for and really enjoy.
Absolutely. So first thing I'd like to say is that this is our 6th annual Toronto Guitar Weekend, where we've had a 3 to 4 day festival. But the Guitar Society of Toronto has been around since 1956, and we are the oldest guitar society that has been continually operating in North America.
Boy, that's deserving of a round of applause. That's a wonderful thing for all the musicians. But one of the most interesting things is you don't have to play guitar to be a member.
No, of course you don't.
You just have to like it.
Yes, and if you love classical music, I'm sure you will love classical guitar, as we've seen this afternoon.
Some of the other things are lectures. Who are you inviting this year?
Right. The first lecture on Saturday morning is by Mariette Stevenson, who's a local Canadian guitarist, and she's done a lot of research into women's contributions to guitar ensembles, both as participants, composers, and also actually as conductors. So she's got some information about composers from England and all over the place, from the Baroque time up till present day.
And then you've also invited Candace Mowbray.
Yes, and Candace Mowbray is an American guitarist who has done a lot of research into Ida Presti. Now, Ida Presti was a fantastic woman guitarist who tragically died at the age of 42. But she was very famous for both solo performing and also in the Presti-Lagoya duo, which was one of the best guitar duos ever. And so Candace has done a lot of work researching her performances and also her compositions.
There's a masterclass. Berta Rojas has agreed to deliver a masterclass. This is on Sunday. Now, is the public welcome at this to just observe?
Yes, absolutely. There will be up to 5 performers. I think there's a couple of spaces left, actually. But it is a public lesson. So the person will come in, they'll play their piece, and then Berta will help them to improve it. It's great to watch if you're interested in the music, if you are a guitarist, and you can somehow improve your own playing by watching these types of classes, which is just wonderful. The other thing that we have happening on Saturday is we have a luthier fair where we have 11 luthiers, people who hand make guitars, coming to show off their wares, and so you
and
can
they'll
come.
even sell them, won't they?
They will sell
If you
them,
want to
yes,
buy one.
and they're wonderful guitars.
There's a brunch. That's on Sunday as well. And to go to the brunch, you need to sign up for the whole weekend, but what's the good reason to do that?
Well, the good reason to do that is you get to see 2 concerts, a bunch of lectures, a masterclass, and you can have brunch with Berta Rojas. Brent will be there, Bo Kyung will be there, the lecturers will be there, and everybody who signs up for the whole weekend will be there. It's wonderful.
It's the schmooze part of the weekend.
It is, and it's a lot of fun. It's almost the best part.
Music and schmooze. What more could we ask for? Heather Moran-Clark, president of the Guitar Society of Toronto. Thank you for bringing these people to us today.
Well, thank you for having us.
We are live here in Zoomer Hall. Our preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend will continue with the Paraguayan superstar, Berta Rojas, after this.
How does a professional guitarist approach strings on the instrument? How do you choose your strings? How often do you change them? What's your budget per year spending on strings?
Oh gosh, I never really even thought about that. I just buy as I need. So if I have a lot of concerts, obviously I'm changing it for each concert. So it really depends. And I mean, there are so many string companies out there with really different but great strings. So you just have to really go through them all and see which one you like, and you could even combine them. You don't have to use one string. You could do, oh, maybe first string I use this string company and the other one's something else. So
These are all high-tech plastics, are they? These
they're
nylon strings?
nylons, and these are metals just wound on the string. So yeah.
Thank you.
I had a gentleman back here for a long time.
Welcome to Canada. You touched on a very, very favorite part of music for me. It's flamenco music. I had the chance of meeting Carlos Montoya 41 years ago. I'm sure the name is familiar to you. And he said something about most music, classical music, is written to notes. Flamenco is folkloric. There was no written music to it. Was that a correct assessment, or is there written music now?
Correct. It's a verbal tradition that it gets passed on, that nothing is really written down. Of course, nowadays there's book that you can learn. But yeah, I mean, that's why it was challenging for me at first, because I'm so used to reading or learning from reading, but this is just literally your teacher showing you, and you have to copy it. And I'm like, what was that again?
So you publish your doctorate and I can read it because it is truly
right. I mean, there are arrangements like the Paco de Lucia, he has his own that's published, but at the same time, it's not the same when it's written out, so.
2.5 minutes to air, 2.5 minutes. Oh, I have to switch them out. Sorry, I need you to go backstage.
Oh, well, I'll be around.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Berta Rojas.
Air, 2 minutes.
This is the wait party.
60 seconds. 60 seconds to air.
Anybody got a 45-second joke?
How come you change spots? You noticed.
Because Mom told me to.
I'm like, you look better at that first beat. Go stand there. 40 seconds to air. 40 seconds.
I got one, but it's not fit for family radio.
Oh, okay.
30 seconds.
Now, dealing with floor directors is like dealing with your spouse. I always get the last word, but that word is, yep,
Listen to me.
yes,
20 seconds. Bill, are you listening to me?
see.
50. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, in 5.
The Zoomer Hall Concert Series continues here with a preview of the Toronto Guitar Weekend, and it is my great pleasure now to introduce you to one of the world's foremost classical guitarists. Please welcome Berta Rojas. That wonderful music is by a Paraguayan composer named Agustin Barrios. And Berta, you are just a huge fan of Barrios. And it's not just because you're also Paraguayan. What are the things that you most admire about this incredible talent?
I think that the fact that I was born in the country where Agustin Barrios was born adds something important to my love for his music, which is that I know where he comes from. He was born only 5 years after the end of a war that was 5 years long against Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay, that is known as the Latin American genocide, no? And in that country, devastated by the war, is where Agustin Barrios was born. And I just imagine how hard must have been for a musician to pursue his dream and to remain true to his love of music during all his life, you know, in places playing in all of Latin America, where he was sometimes the first guitarist to arrive and play, you know, a pioneer of the classical guitar. No?
He did travel a great deal, and so did you. A 4-year tour sort of tracing the travels of Agustin Barrios. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to retrace his steps in the Americas. I traveled through 20 countries that he visited during his lifetime. And it was really impressive to arrive to places like Trinidad and Tobago. And to have a member of the audience come and bring me an original program of Agustin Barrios' visit to Trinidad and Tobago from 1935. So imagine to have kept that program with your family for so long, is because that concert really touched your heart. No?
You play his music, you play some of the traditional pieces for classical guitar, but you're also looking always for new compositions. Do you have to search, or do people bombard you with, will you play this?
Well, I get many pieces that are sent to me, and I look at them, and I commission pieces too, no? Such is the case of the Fiesta Americana, which is a piece I commissioned to an English composer. His name is Vincent Lindsay Clark, and I recorded his music, and now I commissioned another piece that hopefully I will be premiering soon, dedicated to Frida Kahlo, you know.
So new compositions, but you're also very involved in trying to find new artists, and you do scholarships, you have competitions. But one thing I find very interesting, you have organized an online competition.
Mm-hmm. I actually organized 2 editions of an international online competition for classical guitar. And then I organized 1 edition of an online competition in Paraguay to find young talents. And during these days, we talk a lot about division and about walls and things like that. You know? And what I did with that competition was to find 20 of the best talents for classical guitar in Paraguay and invited to come to Asunción, the capital of Asunción, of Paraguay, once a month, so they could play together in an ensemble, you know. And so they are now friends, and they play for each other, and they stimulate themselves through chamber music work, you know. There are now a lot of duets, trios, quartets, and orchestras in Paraguay that we haven't had before.
What will you play for us next?
I'd like to play the Paraguayan dance.
I think that sounds pretty good.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Once again, from Paraguay, Berta Rojas, live in Zoomer Hall.
This piece is called Mashish.
Ladies and gentlemen, Berta Rojas, one more time. I know you've enjoyed our preview of Toronto Guitar Week, brought to you by the Guitar Society of Toronto. All the performances are at St. Andrew's Church, and you can find out all the information you need and get some of those last-minute tickets because it starts tonight. Go to the website guitarsocietyoftoronto.com. Our program today has been brought to you by Natural Calm, the better magnesium. I'm Bill Anderson. See you next time in Zoomer Hall.